All right, let's get into our next discussion now. State governors in Nigeria are calling for a thorough probe of oil subsidy payments from 2015 till date.
Absolutely. Now, the Governors Forum accused the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation of fraudulently doubling the nation's daily petrol consumption from about 30 million litres to 60 million litres.
We met last week with the NNPC, and we come and brief our chairman of the Economic Council that we raised three issues. One, about the issue of payment of royalties. Each and every barrel taken out of the country, that is either 17 or 20% of it as royalty, and there's also 17 or 20% of as tax. So our main concern, the DPR made it very, very clear to us that NNPC is not remitting anything payment of royalty, but what they do, they transmit direct from NNPC to federation account, so which is not allowed by the law.
All right, we have leadership and communication strategists with us in the studio, Dr. Ojon. Dr. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Nice to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
Well, okay. The controversy as to the remittances from NNPC to either the consolidated account or the payment of subsidy or to keeping monies to themselves and not remitting, all of those is not just today. It has always been there for quite a long time and all of that. Now, from your assessment of what is going on, how much do Nigerians really know about what the NNPC does for this country?
Okay, I think many of us do not know anything about what NNPC does. Really, what our concerns are, or basically what our concern is to drive into the filling station and have our cars fueled and all that. But again, the NNPC, the way it is looking now, has become suddenly, or perhaps over time, has become the headquarters of corruption when it comes to governance and the entire budgeting process. Because, for example, let's begin with the issue of the TSA. The idea of the TSA, for example, is to have all the funds of the federal government, all the monies, no matter where it's coming from, in one account, and from that account the government will be able to disburse and monitor. But if we have one or two agencies of government that are not putting money in that TSA and nobody is complaining about it, then there's an issue. Unfortunately, as a nation, between 1999 and now, we've always had presidents who are directly interested and involved in the running of NNPC. I mean directly. And the fact that our presidents are involved show to a certain extent that there should be sanity. But again, when you don't see sanity, then you begin to doubt that maybe it's even more than what we can see as analysts or what some top Nigerians can actually see, because it's power play at the highest level.
And that's why people say that the NNPC, which is the cash cow, is treated as a sacred cow.
It is. It is.
Yes.
It
Okay.
is.
Okay. So let's look at the illegal subsidy payment, which Nigerians came to know about, not because the NNPC just wanted to tell Nigerians about it, and without appropriation, because that seems to be the surprising aspect of it all. The Senate was miffed. After their investigation, they discovered the whopping amount of money that had been paid into funding the subsidy illegally without appropriation.
Now, over time, if you have gone around this West Africa zone, let's begin from the West Africa zone, you discover that the issue of subsidy to a certain degree is something that is in operation, except if you want to lie. Because when you get to compare, most times, when you get to compare the crude price in the international market with our refining capacity within the country and what is obtainable in the West Africa zone, you discover that reasonably we are still selling at the best price as we speak. It shows that to a certain extent there must have been one investment or the other. But again, the first question is, why are we not having capacity to refine, which nobody has been able to answer, despite the fact that at every point in time you hear that there are investments here and there into the nation refineries and they never turn around maintenance and they never get to work. That is number one. Number two is we do not have the accurate figure of the amount of fuel that we consume as a people. So this has also given another room for loophole in the entire process. For example, I think last year about a little over 10 million vehicles are running in the country. If we have 10 million vehicles running in the country, and not every day, I have to tell you that this number we're talking about, these 10 million vehicles that we are talking about, my own father's vehicle is part of the 10 million, which will be parked in my village for more than 2 weeks. Sometimes the man will not go out. There are some housewives who also have a reasonable percentage of this 10 million who don't get to use their vehicles every day, or at best, who carry their kids from their home to school every morning, burning just a liter of fuel. So when you do the arithmetics, then I will tell you that daily it is not reasonable for Nigerians to be consuming 30 to 33 million liters per day. It is not reasonable. But suddenly we have come to realize that even beyond what we know, Nigerians are now consuming about 60 million liters per day. And because you and I do not have the number of how much we are actually refining within, there's all possibility that on all these 60 million liters, subsidy is being paid. Because we do not have an idea of what we refine within, and nobody is coming out to say that this is. So that tells you that either we like it or not, the headquarters of corruption as we speak is NNPC. Not because the government is totally silent, but because there are also internal cabals that have hijacked the entire process. NNPC has over 14 or about 15 subsidiaries. If you visit some of these subsidiaries, you discover that there are loopholes here and there. So until we get
duplication of a lot of things,
of a lot of activities going on, and now the issue of subsidy payment, they came out to say, this government came out initially, and that's why I quickly want to refer to the honorable that came the other time. He said something that is really right. He said they were not used to the act of governance. They are just learning a lot of things. They came out to say, oh, we are not going to subsidize. But when they saw that, of course, good leadership demands that at that point in time, some little explanation will have
later on, even the president mentioned that they had stopped it.
So, are we still running on subsidy now? That's the question.
Well, but the point there is, we don't even have to go into the rocket science of it, of what it goes. Normal thing. How much is landing cost? They say it's over about $70 as the case. Oh, sorry, 70 naira as the case. 171 naira. And then how much are you saying everybody should pay? 145. What is the difference between 145 and 171? Who is paying for it?
Now,
so it's just simple. It's just straightforward to let you know that someone somewhere must pay for that.
And topping that, really, and that is why some Nigerians are very angry, it was that the government, its administration, came out to appeal to Nigerians that there was need to increase fuel price from 87 naira per litre to the current amount because they wanted to remove subsidy, and Nigerians agreed. So how come later
now the story
on,
is changing.
Exactly, that you're still paying subsidy and yet petrol is being sold for 145 naira per litre?
This is a very serious case. The fact that any government agency has suddenly got so powerful to the point of spending money without appropriation is enough sin at any level. Don't say because you hate the senators, don't say because you don't like the National Assembly members that you think, and at every point in time, I keep telling people that the problem of the nation is not even National Assembly members as we advertise. The major challenge of the nation lies within the executive. Because all the problems that we have seen over time, even including the issue of the budget, lies with the executive. Because either we like it or not now, this NNPC is under the supervision of the president of the executive. So what are we saying in essence? Until we get to a point where we make everybody do the right thing. That's number one. Until also, as NNPC, nobody is reading their books. At every point in time, the former CBN governor came the other time and said, oh, about $20 billion was this thing. And a lot of people said, no,
the controversy around it.
Absolutely.
And this generated a lot of controversy. And within inside of me, I knew it could happen.
And then the same minister
because
again.
You understand? I knew there's this possibility.
And then we were told that nothing like that happened.
Into the book. So the major challenge now is, let's quickly talk about the governors. Why the governors may not be able to achieve results is still the problem of data. Because in Lagos now, if I ask Governor Ambode, how much fuel are your people consuming in Lagos? There's a possibility that he will not know. Now there's another doubt surrounding the advertised landing cost that you talked about. Because there's a particular filling station
that was even selling at the heat of scarcity, that was selling below 145 naira.
Exactly.
And as a capitalist, or don't let me use the word capitalist, as a businessman, you are not running an NGO. You are not going to go to the market and buy something and sell it at a loss. And this particular filling station sells in Lagos, sells in Akure the same price, sells in some part of the North Central Zone. And these people I know are still making money. So there are questions surrounding even the landing cost that the NNPC is advertising and the government is accepting.
All right. Now, in all of this, we know that the president and commander-in-chief is as good as the minister of petroleum.
Yes.
And seeing that he's the minister of petroleum, Nigerians felt that there will be a change because he's going to keep his eyes directly and he's going to monitor the system. And being the minister of petroleum, and it seems the whole thing is still going on as it is.
In fact, the pump price was going to reduce.
Exactly. Now, is it that, does it now look like there's something beyond that is bigger? There's one Ojuju Calabar somewhere that is bigger than his ability to handle things, or is it that he has decided to conform to the way things are done?
Now, let's judge from experience. We've had, there was Olusegun Obasanjo who was directly involved in the entire business of the NNPC, the petroleum sector entirely. Then we came Yaradua for a short period of time. He was directly even involved to the point that the sitting GMD then was bypassing the minister to see him, to the point that at a point the minister had to call the president and say he could no longer tolerate that. These things have happened in the past. Even our own man, Goodluck Jonathan, became the president and brought his own person to sit as the minister, directly reporting to him. Now, if you look at our experience, the involvement of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has not done any good to the petroleum sector. Number one, in Nigeria, the politicking of politics is bigger than the business of governance. And everything is coming on the head of one man who's the president. Now, for him to now want to sit and become the minister of this thing, then it will become the more you look, the less you see. And that's what they are playing on the president. That will not cast doubt on the integrity of the president. But the fact is that he is not seeing what is happening. And the man that is seemingly seeing what is happening, when last did you hear from him? I mean the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources.
Absolutely.
When last did you hear? At the point he was shouting and I said, don't worry, you will soon learn lesson. And you Calabar seemingly scared him now. You are not hearing anything from him again. So it's not about the involvement of the president. It's about actually the ability of the president to see what is actually transpiring. It is what they bring to him that you will see.
Is it really about
to tackle on his table?
Is it really about the ability? Of course, that is why you need to have maybe a team if you cannot do something. Nigerians had many times called on him to step aside and, appoint a substantive minister of petroleum. But then that is not the case. So if you know that you cannot do something, why not appoint people that will do it and give them the power to do so?
Okay, that question, I will parry it to the president. But you know our style in the nation, in all honesty. When this government came on board, they told us that, they were going to bring ministers, and it took them about 6 months, and they brought old faces back. Even at the point of, if we want to surrender, if the president decides to surrender the running of NNPC, there's some possibility that he's going to surrender the running into the hands of people that we have seen and we have known before, and we are still going to get the same old result. There's a need for us in governance. There's a need for us to be innovative. And I've talked about these things over and over. What exactly is our priority as a nation? As we speak now, getting data has become an issue. Until we get to a point where we are a little bit innovative with, number one, with data, and 21st century compliant governance system. When we build that, even when humans are not there, if you build a system around it that is telling us, at least in Lagos today, we sold 23 million liters. At that point in time, you will generate data, then you'll be able to plan. And this thing I'm telling you is not something that will happen overnight. But let the government just start something so that at least first we have an idea of how much fuel we are consuming as a people. Then from there, we'll be able to plan and work on our refineries.
All right. we have to leave you here now.
Yes.
Dr. John, Leadership and Communication Strategist, thank you for talking to us and thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, something new is coming on TVC. We'll let you know all about it after this break. Stay with us.